Hello there, welcome to episode 15 of my advanced tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. We are currently sitting in front of a nice and tidy fortress. I've explained everything alongside in this series. There's a playlist link down below if you want to jump on in from episode 0. Indulge yourself. This is in its core a Let's Play series. I have every time a topic that I will follow through in the course of the episode, and I'll take my time to explain all the different things that happen in between the fortress day-by-day life. So there's a lot of things that will distract me, but I promise that every distraction will get explained as good as I can. So with that being said, today's topic, well, we're building some more farming stuff, you know. We are running out of drink, and just so you know, dwarves do drink way more than they need to eat, so our current ratio is really bad. If anything, it should be the other way around. But for that regard, we're going to invest today into another farming patch, and I'm going to explain the magics behind fertilizing your fields a little bit. I got to just put up a disclaimer here. I'm personally not a big fan of fertilizing because, all in all, my impression was that you can achieve practically the same by cranking up just a few more plots. But that being said, this is a tutorial series. I want to explain these things as good as I can. First off, I'm building a new farming chamber here, you know. We've already seen that concept several times before, and this one will be no other than the ones before. We're using the aquifer to do some irrigation. I love aquifers in that regard. They are such a wonderful tool to get yourself a dirty cheap irrigation, you know. I really like that. One of my personal favorite irrigation techniques that I found. Alright, there's already a bit of water seeping down here, and it's all fine. So we have a couple of plump helmets planted down here. So let's see, we have one legendary planter here. And the thing here is, the more of these jobs you got, the more likely it'll be that your planter will eventually be overburdened by all these things. And that's why, that's personally the one big reason I can see behind the urge to fertilize things. I'm sorry, I had to check what was fighting there. So, fertilization. We need for that, first off, ash. We're producing this time some ash. 20 pieces of ash. Every bar of ash is composed of one wood log, so ash is a relatively costly resource in my opinion. And the ash will then get transformed into potash at the ashery. So that's the process that it'll take. We're going to make this thing happen 20 times because we're preparing that much. And now off to the actual explanations behind that. As you see here, you can fertilize fields generally. And whenever you put fertilizer on a field, you add a layer of fertilization to that. You see here 0 of 4, and every layer of fertilization basically gives you another chance of getting extra yield, or at least that's how I understood it. So basically, the more fertilizer you put on your fields, the higher the chance that there will be a +1 on the harvest. Correct me if I misunderstood anything. The Dwarf Fortress Wikipedia is a little bit hard to read in that regard. So in a nutshell, fertilizing your fields is a process that you do to attempt to increase your yield per field. This way you can easily make your fields smaller than the stuff that I'm doing here. Because you might or might not notice it already, I have the feeling as if my planter has a bit of trouble in getting behind all those jobs. So when you're doing it with my method, you're just increasing the amount of farmers. So here we got one legendary planter. I'm gonna grit my teeth and employ another adequate planter, as much as I hate it. But it is just much easier this way, because otherwise, well, I'm personally not a big fan, you know. So Other thing you can do also is to turn off all the other labor for your legendary planter and see if he can or can't handle the job all on his own. There are several methods of using this, but in a nutshell, the potash that we got can be now used to fertilize those fields. And you put this to set fertilize, and if you want to maximize the fertilizer, you fertilize every season. That's as far as I understood things. We also got to mention here that the amount of fertilizer that you need for a field is a little bit weird. So 1 piece of fertilizer is enough for exactly 4 pieces of field. Now, people do like to utilize this mechanic a little bit because, you know, if you have 7 fields, you are basically in between 1 and 2 units of fertilizer. If you have 11 fields, you're in between, you know, basically what I'm trying to say, if you want to maximize the efficiency of your fertilizer, your farm plots ideally are either 4 long, 7 long, 11 long, 15, 19. You get the idea. You try to get the most out of that number as possible. If it's confusing to you, just check out the Wikipedia. They have a pretty nice explanation there. I hope I brought it through as good as possible. So the thing is, what we're doing here is we're going to ignore all the math and mechanic behind that. I'm going to fertilize this a little bit because I have now some potash, but I basically did this mostly to introduce the mechanics to you, you know. The rest of these things, I leave that up to you if you want to fertilize your fields or not. I personally always feel like it's so easy to just crank up the volume, you know, instead of going for more efficiency on one field. Anyways, that's that. So another thing that always comes in handy if you face sort of a crisis, you know, food can quickly turn into a crisis. Because sometimes you just don't see those drink stockpiles in a while. And whenever that happens, you can go foraging outside. This is one of my favorite ways of grabbing up some resources if I ever run into a little bit of a bottleneck. So this way you're grabbing some items, and you can of course do the same thing downstairs in the subterrane. Harvesting some plump helmets and sweet pods can easily get your food stockpiles back on their feet. So this is something that you can do as a prompt response. So I'll leave it up to you how you personally want to go in that regard. If you want to have a efficiently managed potash production, which requires a constant intake of wood, which is what personally turns me off in this regard. Or you just brute force the way I personally prefer to do. I think, is there a third way in between? Let me know in the comments if you know. So we got that done, and oh my god, there's a lot of people petitioning for us for living here. So what I also meant to do in this episode, I announced it on in the last episode. I meant to show you guys what you can do, how you can get rid of prisoners if you don't have access to such a fancy lava pit like we got it here. Because I gotta admit, the lava pit is just luxury, you know. We're going to go, and this time we're going to create ourselves the pit that we need. So this is a system that you can use in every fortress. You don't need anything except for a couple of downstairs. We're making it a few stories deep. Personally, big fan of making it a few stories deep because climbers, you know, you don't want to have somebody being exceptionally good at climbing and being able to climb that up. We don't want that. So that's step 1. And now we're going to see, we got that area here. So here is going to be the pit. This is just the maintenance shaft that we got here. So the next step that we're taking here, just like we did before, since this is going to be the pit, we're now assigning this to get dug out because we require all these You remember, we need to punch a hole into the floor. So, another petition. Soldiers. That's interesting. We got a lot of soldiering petitions. Every world is different, you know. But I'm not interested in extra citizens via this. So, we got this now. And the next step is, this is going to be where our pit will end, this square. And now we're building the actual mechanism to take care of our prisoners. To all of you who are familiar with it, I'm building here a classical atom smasher. That means we're building a bridge that will get used to smash whatever we put down here. So, oh, come on, guys, seriously? Well, that was necessary, I guess. Okay, so first step, we're going to put up a... Oh, let's use these. We're going to put up a bridge over the entirety of the room. You can also go for 2 bridges that smash in the middle. It's up to your taste. The basic principle is simple. We're going to crank up the bridge once it's built to be retracted here, and then we toss stuff into the pit, and then stuff will get smashed in the pit. I'm going to demonstrate it if it's a little bit obscure to you right now. Don't worry. So, we got all these things down. The city is currently at the point where I constantly see that the drink amounts are plummeting down a little bit. I'm also a little bit wondering about why my bookkeeper ain't working as intended. I mean, Stukos is not a... she's a talented record keeper. So, she should be actually doing her job better. Maybe I'm just impatient. Well. Alright, where were we? So, the food and drink stockpiles are at a point that I don't like. So, we already took all immediate actions that I personally see possible. Another thing that I really want to do now is I'm going to delete these rooms here. Because I don't like the fact that we got a muddied area here. This is, of course, just me. You wouldn't need to do that in your fortress. Personally, just want to put a wall up there and ignore the rest. Because I don't like the wet apartments, you know. Okay, so diplomacy. So it is. Why is my dude from the mountain home coming midwinter? This is not working as intended. We had a weird interaction, though, where the liaison was unable to meet up with my diplomat. Well, whatever. We're ordering the same things as we're usually ordering. I want some stuff to burn with, and obviously they ran out of lignite and bituminous coal. You see, this is how detailed the simulation of the world is. They don't have it currently in the fortress, so they can't deliver it. Just to give you just so you know how deep the simulation goes. The whole world is being simulated while we're playing. They're all doing things. It's amazing. I really, really find it super amazing. Anyways, so the current situation here can't be improved in a quick manner. Also, in short terms, our yields from the fields will be a tad bit worse because I employed a planter who's not legendary. Every harvest is determined by the talent of the planter. The moment it's getting planted, it's weird like that. So, all right, dude, you can join us. So this is a citizenship petition that usually follows. First, they want to reside here, and then they ask you if they can be a proper citizen. So, other things that are important at this point of the game, we need to amp up our capacities here, you know. One still is most of the time not cutting it at this point anymore. Our drink stockpiles also look ludicrously small, so we really got to work on that. You can, of course, foresee these numbers if you are experienced in Dwarf Fortress, and you will not need to expand like I do here. But for me personally, I am a big fan of growing into the fortress, you know, and letting things develop as organic as possible. But there's a playstyle. I adore people who are capable of building these wonderful designed blueprinted fortresses. I personally, I'm always winging it. I let things grow as they grow because I think that's a very natural way of weaving stories. But you know, Dwarf Fortress has a wonderful amount of ways to put your fantasy into reality. So enough of that. We need to crank up the drink stockpile too. As you see here, I'm building up more and more stills now. I'm surrounding them with drink stockpiles. I think 3 of them should be enough. We can see how that'll go in the future. But for now, generally, by the way, if you have an overflow of plant matter in your stockpiles, that's generally a good sign because that means you hit your threshold. Like my threshold right now for a drink is 1,000, and the new material is not being immediately processed because there's already enough on the stockpile. That means your production is going well. And look at it go. As you see there, they're going totally nuts, just like I expected. So a cheesemaker has been taken by a Fey mood. Interesting, interesting. We'll see what that'll be. And here we are, I think, at a very, very good point to call it a day when it comes down to the enhancement of our farming. We just need to wait until this here has been finished. Then I'm going to crank up a little bit more of the sweet pods, and let's see what's up my mind there. And then we're going to wait until there will be a new equilibrium. So, silk cloth. Alright, I bet we don't have that currently. Metal bars, we should have that. Bones, well, alright, we need to check. So, first off, silk cloth. Yeah, no. Just like I expected. So, silk cloth is something special. I got this here on No in the automatic web collection because I don't want anybody going into the caverns for that automatically. Because if you do so, they go crazy. They go until they have plucked the last piece of web there. So instead, we're going to go and do one web collection job. And then we're going to create that piece of fabric that we need. And another production mandate has been issued. We got to make one mace. I'll just put that on the end of the list, you know. Let's make one copper mace. Or, wait a sec, nah. We're going to make bronze mace. Just realized that there is no good reason to make a bad weapon if we can make a good weapon, no? So, except for the fact that we don't have any bronze curses. So, let's make us some bronze while we're at it. Okay. Let's head back to that. So as you see here, the web collection job takes a while until it is completed. If you want to have that a little bit more comfy, you can go for something like this here, where there's a baby inside with a necromancer. Oh, that was the baby that was just born. Alright, that's putting me into a moralic dilemma. Damn, necromancers. Okay, well, one thing at a time. I got sidetracked. That's Dwarf Fortress. I didn't expect that to happen. So you can also put a loom down here, just like that, and then you can order the stuff to get produced here. So, you know, I feel bad about this, so we're going to make it like that. The necromancer lady has access to food and drink for now, and oh boy. I don't know. I'm going to leave her assigned to that burrow. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to expand the burrow to this area here, so she doesn't have to die from dehydration and the like. But well, all right. Back to the actual topic. Here we go. So here we go. The cave spider silk that we produced, because that's the thing that I actually wanted to show you, but they were things. So when you press collect webs, you're actually firing off a job to produce one spindle of cave spider silk thread, which will get automatically processed into cave spider silk cloth. So if you ever need that stuff, that's how you do it. So thing about strange moods and cloth is there are 3 types of cloth: plant fiber, spider silk, and wool. Basically, sort of all sorts of wool, you know. So, and here we go and have a new requirement. That always happens when your city grows larger. The more people worship a certain religion, the more likely it'll grow that there will be an organized religion, and the more people being part of an organized religion, at some point they will want to have a temple like that. This is happening when 10 people are believing in that organized religion. Well, we got a little bit of a task here at hand, but the temple complexes are, I personally love them because they give the town a lot more character, in my opinion. Okay then, so let's see how things will go if we wall off this. And now for the temple complexes are a little bit more demanding than a regular temple, because they will ultimately come with the request of a priest. And a temple complex will ultimately have to grow into something even larger. So in a nutshell, when you plan these, plan them accordingly large. That's all I'm trying to say. Alright, I'm keeping this up here a little bit as a reminder because I always like to do this. And while this is being made, I will return in a second to the pit. I know you all wanted to see the pit, right? So we're going to finish the pit. In the meantime, let's put some rock salt blocks in here. Why not? So while we're building the pit, we're also building the temple. Good. So let's get back to the pit. So we got this here. So we have now a room, and look at it. This guy ain't done yet. So the thing about bridges is they do take a while until they are constructed. As you see here, our fellow friend Mebzuth is quite busy with that. He's grown thirsty while he's busy with that. But okay, well, there we go. I thought I would be already capable of doing this. But I mean, in a nutshell, there will be no big surprises here, except for the fact that it is worth mentioning. If you do it with, if you get rid of problems like this, they get completely erased from existence, which means you will destroy any loot, just like with the lava pit, which does effectively exactly the same. But I just meant to showcase that you are actively destroying whatever loot you want to acquire with this method. But it is, on the bright side, a method which can take care of your problems very, very effectively. Alrighty, finally. So we got to have a lever for that, of course, you know. Every good trap includes a lever that can get flicked, and then we got to punch the holes. So, there we go. And just like the last time, there is no risk involved, but we need to punch the last one when we're done. That's really important. So, he created an instrument. Okay. If you have some weird names like that, he created a bomb. That's usually a instrument. If there's any weird word coming up, it's 90% of the time an instrument. He made a bomb. Good boy. Alrighty, so let's create that temple real quick. And here, that's why I keep those petitions up until the very last moment. So, Sect of Bejeweling, so I can look it up, because I am notoriously forgetting these things, you know. Here we go. Like I said, 10 people, and they're actually worshipping Dig. So Dig has way more worshippers than the Sect of Bejeweling. That's typical for these. It's like, you know, it's a difference between believing in God and going to church every Sunday, you know? Or you get the idea. That's basically how I understand these things in Dwarven relations. So how the hell did... Alright. I didn't see that one piece of rock salt flooring coming. Seems like I did a whoopsie in between the episodes. I keep preparing this floor down here in between the episodes because nobody wants to see me do excessive flooring over an entire city level, unless I got something interesting to talk about while I'm doing so. The drink numbers are bouncing back up while I'm talking. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And by the time that we are done with all the farming, we should have no more problems in feeding our fortress. But let's get back to the pit project. So, is it finally linked? So, it ain't linked yet. Alright, most important thing. So I'm accepting monster hunters wherever I can, because they are really cool. They just run around into the caverns and slay stuff for you. And the coolest part about it is they are totally cool with it when they die down there. There's no consequences in any way. So, ban on certain exports. That gives me the impression or mandate has been successfully completed. Yep, no convicts. If a mandate hasn't been successfully completed, there will be a convict that has broken the law. So, next step, pull the lever. But, well, actually we're going to do that as a last step. So, next step is we're going to pull up walls here now to make sure that nobody will accidentally enter this chamber, you know? So please don't tell me that you're walling yourself in, you stupid. Sometimes they do that, you know. Ah, good job, Jurist. You won the prize for the most stupid dwarf on the board. It's a pretty typical thing, and the best thing that we can do to stop them from doing this, as you see, if I use the closest material, they're just doing the same shenanigans again. The easiest way to avoid that would be to wait until the sleeping guy is no longer sleeping, and produce the wall out of a different material. What's really important to note here is, at this point, flicking the lever would be deadly for Osmel. He'd be immediately dead. So, guys, come on. Get out of here. Alright, so instead we're going to put up a construction job that will force the dwarf to bring the construction material from this way, and that will make it happen that he will stand here while he's constructing. It is stupid, but it is as it is. The AI has no way to understand on which side you want it to stand when the wall is constructed in this situation, so I actually do get it how it comes to these things. Alright, so the last piece of wall needs to be put down here, because I actually don't want anybody to accidentally go downstairs there. And then we're almost done for the first demonstration. So first off, let's pull the lever, because it's now secured. There's no chance that anybody has the ability to get in there. And now, let's watch it crank into motion. That's a good outro for today's episode. So we got that thing here. So, wall has been built. Now we dig a channel, and as you see here, we have a similar thing here going on, and just wanted to give you a proof concept, so to say. This is another way how you can deal with your prisoners, and the good thing about this method is it is usable for every fortress. There's no how to put it, there's no requirements, yeah. So we're going to put down a troglodyte there. And once that's done, it's time to roll out the outro. So our fortress is now growing into its new shoes. And as you see here, the guy ain't dead here. He's a little bit banged up, but it is pretty hard to kill everybody just by a drop. It went better than I thought. So now we check out the ending of that. See, he has no way out. And wow, so he actually managed to climb up. So my dear friends, as you see, there are still things that we need to work on. I think a hatch is in order. I didn't expect that to happen, but in theory you see how you can do it. I didn't expect that this was actually possible. I thought they can only climb so many floors. But there we have it. There's a troglodyte in the fortress. And this is another reason why it's really good to have military around. So, yeah. I'm gonna fix this little contraption in between the next 2 episodes. I bet that a hatch that gets locked should do the trick, because nobody can breach a hatch from below. But yeah, we're going to introduce the functioning model in the next episode. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Leave a comment down below, and feel free to leave a thumbs up on that episode. Your help goes a long way, as you all might know. And I am really, really looking forward to the next episode, when we're going to work on the things that you can do once your fortress is basically done with growing into its shoes, you know. That's the fun part. So everybody, leave a subscription on the channel if you be so kind. That would help a lot. And if you hit the bell button, you actually will get informed about all the new stuff that happens on my channel. And playlist links are down below. You can check out the entire tutorial series of mine. And I would be delighted if you did so. And probably I will squish something here. So as you see, that's the way we can do it. So everybody, I thank you for watching, like I said, and enjoy a functioning atom smasher. See you next time.